Yeah, my daughter. I guess he didn't like it. I guess I'm involved in too. Oh, you can just get to the. No, it's nice. Okay, it's 6:31. We're going to start the Economic Development Committee meeting. Roll call, I'm John Flores John, I'm vice chair of this committee. And by the town. Jenny Angel.
Peter Remoto. Sorry. Charlie Bozello.
John Harvin.
And we have Ron with us.
And Peter is not here.
Oh, yeah, and Peter's not here with permission.
With permission notice.
That's something to say.
Absent with justice.
The wooden hooks. You can tell I do this a lot. Okay. So special guests, I don't know, do we want to just go around and
Now, where, we know.
give your names? Since there's so few of us.
Hey, we already made them.
You got
the last, you got the name. We do.
Is Ellen with us?
Not yet.
The first thing on here is old business, approval of minutes.
Our last meeting was February 4th, and committee was emailed the minutes to review. Any changes, any suggestions? No, good, okay. I will get those over to Luann to post.
Do I have to do all in favor or anything?
Motion to
Yeah.
approve.
A motion to approve. But do we have a motion to approve? Okay. Okay.
Okay, we'll get this, yeah. Oh, yeah.
gotta vote on it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we move on to old business, approval, no, discussion topics, waterfront redevelopment. Grant for feasibility study discussion. Do we wanna do some of what we had planned for tonight?
Well, we've got a few things, we've got one thing, and I guess we'll go with, because there are a lot of familiar faces here, and we don't want to rehash what you already heard.
Yep.
There is a question answer document on the website, the questions that were, brought up, and they were answered. I don't know if people have seen it, we could read those questions and the official answers that have come with it, if you'd like. Would you like to do that? Okay.
The other thing we do have here is the Ashland, New Hampshire Master Plan. The Economic Development Committee was asked to develop goals for the master plan for the town.
Should we do the waterfront first?
Why don't we do the waterfront and then we'll do that?
Okay,
Okay. Okay, so,
so I'm going to read the question
okay,
Where did the questions come from? From the last meeting that we had here. I think you were here for part of it. Or most of it.
Those are just those same questions that they addressed last meeting.
right, Judge, what they are is they documented the questions. And then we
Okay.
did official answers.
Okay,
They are posted on the town's website. But people may not have seen them, so we can read them here, or you could go,
either way.
what would you like? Because it'll take a little time to read through them, but we don't want to waste your time.
Well, since it's being recorded, Jenny, I think you
Okay.
benefit to read the question and then the
Okay.
answer, and let's get it on the record for others that might dial
Okay,
in.
that would be good.
The first question from someone that was here, they were concerned about increased traffic volume and speeding on River Street and the turnoff from Route 3 onto River Street.
Okay, I do know. We have all the answers, questions and answers on a trifold over here. I'd like to take one with you. Would you like one now?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, we don't think we organize this, but.
Yeah, those are always good.
Would you all like, I can, would you come please? I'm not. Or, or maybe it's.
And one,
I need to-
obviously, I'd like
Yeah,
to.
no, I'm good.
For the questions and answers, I'd like to dispel misinformation that's been floating around the towns. There are no boat docks planned. There are no boat docks.
Okay, all right, so you want me to read the answer to this question?
Yes,
First
ma'am.
question, okay. Addressing traffic and parking issues will be included in the instructions for consultants that are hired to conduct the study and develop the plans. The parking area across Levitt Hill Road from the town beach is part of the waterfront redevelopment project.
The next question is, will there be a preference for Ashland residents to visit Town Beach?
Consultants conducting the feasibility study and developing the plans will be asked to present options for preferring Ashland residents.
Is the goal to have more residents or out-of-town people visit the waterfront?
The answer is both. The goal of the waterfront redevelopment is to boost the town economically and recreationally by offering more types of recreational activities that attract residents, non-residents, and businesses to Ashland and contribute to the town's economic development. It will also improve the waterfront's appeal, safety, accessibility, and environmental and economic sustainability.
Question, what are the current charges for using the town beach? The study should consider the fee structure in ways such as a rubberized wristband to identify residents. That was a suggestion.
Yes, the fee structure and ways to improve and simplify resident access can be addressed in the study. Currently, there are fees during the summer season. Residents and taxpayers daily 16 years and up are $2 and seasonal is $25. Non-residents daily is $4, seasonal is $50. Free under 16 years of age, seniors 65 plus, and parking is free.
Question, Town Beach land was donated by Edward N. Doggett's family. Were there restrictions and wishes to be considered in the deed?
Oh, you're on the pivot, you missed it, I'm not hip zone. Okay, all right, let's go to number. Okay, we're doing number 9 and we'll be back, so we'll be at that one, okay? Town beach land was donated, yes, okay, answered, yes, and were reviewed by legal counsel. The deed required the beach to become public 4 years after donation, and children under 16 years of age must be allowed to access free of charge.
And if anyone would like to see it, I have a copy. With me.
So we're going back to number 5.
Okay. Question,
Number 5.
number 5.
Yes.
What has EDC shared with Department of Environmental Services thus far? Their concerns about erosion and that silt is now moving downriver. NHDES must be brought in early. Very limited dredging is permitted in Squam River to remove silt and is necessary to address the silting problem as part of the grant. A Squam Lakes Association representative who attended the briefings indicated that SLA is interested in collaborating and referring us to the Squam Lake Watershed Information Plan, February 2020, which SLA developed in collaboration with NHDES and others. It includes Ashland Town Beach, Ashland, which has a low impact rating, and the recommendation is evaluate septic systems, replace, upgrade if necessary. Answer.
Okay, New Hampshire DES visited the waterfront site with EDC members last year. New Hampshire DES recognizes the town beach as a regional asset and will ensure the town addresses runoff, silting, erosion, and other environment and water quality concerns in compliance with state and federal laws as the redevelopment plans are developed. A waterfront redevelopment plan cannot move forward without New Hampshire DES approval and permitting.
Question number 6 was a comment by a town member who participated in the evaluation of the beach when it was changed from a sloped beach to a perched beach with a retaining wall. Now his comment was, the problem with the beach is that the town chose the cheap option for erosion control when the beach was redesigned and the retaining wall was installed to create a perched beach. That is why too much walls are exposed, and there are safety, erosion, and silting concerns. A hydrology study is required to determine the most appropriate and sustainable way to control runoff, erosion, silting, and water quality problems. Look at results of past erosion studies regarding the beach, wake zone, dive studies. When sand has been deposited on the beach area, maintenance of wall, etc.
As part of the feasibility study, the consultants will study and identify options for recreational activities and structures and design to support them that are economically and environmentally sustainable. That includes consulting with New Hampshire DES and conducting required or needed hydrology studies.
Question: what about people with disabilities, elderly, young children, and other accessibility and safety issues beyond the ramp to the water and retaining wall?
A goal of the project is to improve safety and increase accessibility and usability for people with disabilities, young children, older adults, and others. Town input about those concerns and compliance with the American with Disabilities Act, federal law, are part of the feasibility study for the project.
Can the parking area be expanded?
Redesigning the parking area will be considered as part of the feasibility study along with addressing practical concerns.
So now we're gonna jump to 10. Question and comments regarding safety. Will safety concerns be considered? Examples: raft, docks, if added, deep versus shallow water, keeping boats separate from beach users, lack of sloped beach. Concerns about current lack of best safety practices for children, such as lack of a gradual slope for entering water. If the town doesn't approve the grant, will these problems continue and safe access for kids will still be a problem limiting use of the beach area?
Yes, safety requirements and concerns for children and others will be addressed as part of the feasibility study and development of redevelopment plans.
Question: will the campground amenities be considered or other upgrades such as campground bathhouse, beach house, food, or other consignment, better area for recreation program attendees? Answer:
The campground and campground bathhouse are not included in the Ashland Waterfront Redevelopment Project site. The AWRP includes the area between Levitt Hill Road and Little Squam Lake that is owned by the town and the parking lot across the street. Thus, options and designs for a beach house, bathrooms, changing rooms, food, and other consignments, improved areas for and more types of recreation and structures that provide cover from the elements are considered as part of the feasibility study and redevelopment plans.
Is a launching area for kayak at town being considered? Currently, people can't launch from the beach area most of the day during beach season.
Answer: Ann Garney, the Ashland Parks and Rec Director, commented that when lifeguards are on duty, they are responsible for anyone using the beach area. For example, if a kayaker was in distress, the lifeguards are required to respond. The purpose of the AWRP is to increase recreational offerings and achieve the first goal in Ashland's master plan to enhance the town's position as a destination for those seeking quality outdoor recreation. And the goal in Ashland's recreation plan is to create additional educational and recreational opportunities at the beach. Best practices and legal requirements for separating the beach area from areas where kayaks and other water sports are allowed or conducted, and designs that can accommodate multiple recreational uses will be considered and assessed as part of the feasibility study and redevelopment plans.
Question, how does Big Squam Lake play into this redevelopment? For example, potential funding sources and collaborations such as collaborations with Squam Lakes Association or other organizations for water quality or educational programs, offering sailing lessons.
Those and other ideas about programming and collaborations are welcomed as part of the feasibility study and by the EDC as it seeks partnerships and financial and in-kind contributions for funding the improvements and redevelopments of the waterfront.
So we could have a brief discussion about this if you have any questions out there.
Ellen's gone if you want her to speak to anything.
Good question.
Me?
Yeah,
Yes, so the grant is for the feasibility study, correct? Right. Just,
can I go through this? Okay. I've got a few discussion points I'd like to go through.
Okay.
And then if you have any additional questions, I'm sure you will have additional questions, but.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Couple of, and not that Facebook is official, but we see a lot of chatter on Facebook. So I do want to address a few of the questions. And one of the big questions that keeps coming up is, why is the Economic Development Committee actually even doing this project? And what I want to say is last year, when the Economic Development Committee was first formed, the first project that the Board of Selectmen gave to us, assigned to us, was looking at the campground because there were the issues with having to redo things and people having to move their campers. So we did review the campground, and along with that, we reviewed the waterfront, because the waterfront is an amenity to the campground. And we looked at it and we go, it was obvious to us that it was in need of some rehab or some type of work. It was old. The facilities were old. But then we were like, well, does the town really want us to do this? Do they really care? We didn't know. So what we did is we wrote a short warrant article last year, and the warrant article said, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Ashland Economic Development Committee to research potential improvements to the Ashland Town Beach. Our goal is to gather information, review permitting requirements, search and apply for potential grants, seek community input, and develop a comprehensive plan that would enhance the recreational value and overall appeal of the beach. This authorization will not require expenditure for this portion of it. The warrant article passed 244 votes to 76. 70% of the town voters said, yes, we want you to look, they wanted us to look at the beach. So that is why we're doing this project. We've got a mandate really from the town to take a look at this, apply for grants. So that's why we're here. That's why we're pursuing it. People say, is it like economic development? This can be debated all day long, but we asked them. We didn't campaign for this warrant article. We just put it on, and this is what happened. So now then we've gotten some other questions or concerns where people saying, well, why don't we do more information in the summer when there are more people here? Well, first of all, we had to find a grant. Thank you, BNO, for helping us with this. We found a grant. We applied for the grant. We got notice that we were slated to receive the grant on December 8th. contingent on us getting a yay vote on the warrant article, which is in March. So there's no summer here. This is like December to March, and we have to deal with their time frame. We can't pick the time frame for that, you know, so that's why we're where we are. Now, the grant is $100,000, of which the town has to match half. We are looking at this engineering study. We don't think it's gonna cost $100,000, but we don't know. So say it cost $50,000. The grant would give us 25,000, and we have to come up with the other 25,000. So we have to do half. Now, the half can come from in-kind volunteer services, which I believe we can bill out at $47 an hour. But we cannot clock any time until after the warrant article. So once we get past the warrant article, we'll keep track of the time, and that can be applied towards the town's match. We are also soliciting pledges for the town match. So far, we have $5,000 in pledges to go towards this project. And there are pledge documents over there if anybody would like to add one. And so between the pledges and the in-kind, our goal is to not hit the taxes at all. So just so people know that that's what we're shooting for. So this grant, this part of the grant will utilize an engineer, perhaps a hydrologist, and to tell us what we can do with the waterfront that the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services will approve. So far in our discussions with people, and there will be more discussions, we hear about, we want to get rid of the wall or most of the wall. We want to get the beach back or most of the beach. We don't want silt going down the river. These are the primary things, and I'm sure there are other things, but we have to address what DES will let us do on these things and what the solutions. There was a study that was done where, as that one gentleman said, we didn't do what they said to do, we did something else or whatever. Andy and Ron have located that study, I believe. So we will be looking at that study, and the new engineer will probably get a copy of that study of what has already been looked at. So before we design anything else, we have to find out what DES will let us do. Once we get that, then we've got a whole laundry list, and we'll have, I mean, during this process, we will have information meetings, but then we're also gonna have more meetings of what people would like the beach to have, what amenities they want to have. And of course, there's only so much room, and I'm sure there's more amenities, but then sort of figure out where they could go, what could be there, design a plan. We have a person the potential of having John Thomas do some of this, and which would be amazing because he's a world-class designer, and I think, you know, or something. So we're hoping to be able to utilize some of. So once we get approval and we get the design, we would go and kind of solicit some to different throughout the builders of how much this would cost, so we have an idea of what the actual building it will cost. And then we will be, probably this time, we would go out for another round of grants. And Vito said, if we do good on this grant, because the state is watching, this is not a very large grant. And if we screw it up, it's gonna be hard to get another grant. So this is a small grant, and if we're able to pull it off and do it, he said, you know, the percentage money can be better on a second grant. This is a 50-50, maybe we can get a 70-30 next time, 80-20 or 80-20. So so this is what we're looking at, but this part is really getting the design of what we can do. And it's the cost of the consultants and engineers to work with DES so we can get the permits of any changes we might want to do. And even on the ultimate building of this, which is going to be more money, our goal is to do it with grants and donations. And I was talking to the gentleman who was a driver in the donation drive for the covered bridge. He says, yeah, he was pretty confident we could do that. It's because it's been done before. And so that's the process that we're looking at. I know there's a lot of chatter out there of what's going on, but the reason we're doing it is because we got a mandate from the voters, told us, yes, they want us to look at the beach. It was an important thing to a lot of them. And, so that's where we're moving forward. Questions?
I have a, can I, hi, I don't know if you can see me. There's something weird going on here with my screen. Can you see me?
It's Ellen.
Okay.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. Okay, good. Hi, I'm Ellen Levinson. There's one other thing I want to mention about this grant, just to add to what Jenny just said. It's not just engineering, it's more than that. It's the cost estimates. They will be looking at the different recreational activities that could be the town's interested in and how they could be accommodated and how it could be designed and cost estimates, and look at the best return on the investment for the town, both in terms of the benefits for our residents and what they can do there and the safety and their desire for activities and access at the beach, and all those things that people raised at the last meeting, like a covered area where you could go in inclement weather, or if there could be music, all these different things. That will also be, I just want to mention that, looked at. And actually, this is also supposed to be a cost estimate. They're supposed to also be looking at numbers, the cost of different options. I just want to mention that. And the Board of Selectmen would have to approve the feasibility study report and the plans. So what they're going to do is not just the study and give us the comparisons, but the options for the plans that you would use in order to implement it. And that will be something that's presented to the Board of Selectmen. They would have to approve it. So it's a whole process. I just want to mention that, and that, town, everybody is, welcome, from businesses to individuals. It doesn't matter, but if you have an interest, to obviously give input during that process. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thanks, Ellen.
So any questions, any comments?
Yeah, I'd like to add a comment. Jenny, thank you for, excellent presentation, John, too. Some people have said to me, what does upgrading the beach have to do with economic development? How do
People have commented on that.
how do you tie that in? And my response to that is that almost universally, towns with attractive, well-developed beaches are successful. I grew up on an island. That island had 200 beaches, and none of the towns that had a beach were in distress. Let's put it in that terms. And I think one of the things I did last summer when this was becoming a hot topic, I took a ride down to Hampton. Now, if you've taken a ride down to Hampton, I watched people pay $20 to park their car so they could look at the beach. And of course, obviously, if you look at the development activity in the town of Hampton, it's off the chart. It's gotta be, I don't know the statistic, but it's gotta be the most developing area of New Hampshire at the moment. I mean, there's just huge economic interest there. And all of this is driven by a beach. Beaches tend to be universally attractive to people. The confluence of sun, sand, water done artistically and in a way that people can enjoy it is, I've never seen an instance where, that doesn't add to the town's ambiance. It attracts people to come and live here. It attracts businesses who can benefit by the beach. We have down Owl's Nest, we have some plans down there for development, which will be very complementary to having a beach. And so the economic correlation between a beach and a successful town is extremely high. And I think, you know, we're not Hampton here, but the whole idea scales. And so we will get our share of development activity as a result of having an attractive beach.
And to add that to that, when John travels with a client looking for a place to put their business, and they'll go to a state and they'll visit towns in the state. And if they go to a town that looks dreary and unkept, they don't even consider it. Which town do you think they pick? They pick the one that looks like it has something going for it. It's well placed, looks good. So it's definitely a draw to start working on picking up our town. Because a lot of it too, none of us like our taxes. We're one of the highest, highly taxed small towns in the state. And our taxes are going up again. They're not going down. We need new industry. We need industry that will fit in a tourist town. I think, Ann Barney, you have a question.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions. I know, I mean, I agree, the beach needs to have some upgrades and stuff. And I think we need to do that. My question is about the feasibility study. And if it's truly just the feasibility study, why are we worried about the roadway? Yeah, the traffic coming in. Because we're not gonna have any more traffic just to get a feasibility study.
That's right.
We're not gonna, we don't need to worry about whether we have preference for town people or others. A feasibility study is just gonna say, okay, can we take the wall down? Because that is what you said, whatever the numbers were for the warrant. And of those, I bet at least 95% of them, their thing was they want the wall gone. So that is what I feel the feasibility study is for that part. But now all of a sudden, in here, there's elements of it, there's also the plan for how much it's gonna cost for activities. If we don't have the feasibility study and know what we can do with the shoreline,
Right.
why are we starting planning? Over and over, you guys have said that there are no plans.
And one of the issues here is these were questions that came up.
I understand.
So, okay, as I said,
And I had a question as well, just related to her question.
and then
I feel like I wanna make sure
Yeah.
that we're getting the questions in.
yeah,
And I'm not trying to be difficult.
Yeah.
I'm just looking up at this board that's here, and I know you were for economic development, but if we're talking about the feasibility study for the beach. I feel like there's 200 kids in Ashland, there's another 150 that are in these kinds of programs in Holderness, in SLA. There's a whole bunch of people, I just don't know the number, that are like my age, 60 and up, and I wanna go to the beach and like just overlook my grandkids doing something at the beach. I am less comfortable if these feasibility studies don't include basically people that have kids in the school, kids in Ann's program, or grandparents that are dropping their kids off. I don't mind if they have houses here that they've had for, years, but I'm most interested in not the people up on the hill, the people. I'm sorry, like I'm saying, I'm not as interested in the people here in this meeting that I see, unless they have grandkids that are gonna be accessing that beach, or they're in the school currently and they're gonna be accessing that beach. Because to me, the main reason to do anything with this beach is to make sure more and more kids come, and it's more and more, like I'm passionate about having kids be outside in a safe play environment. And I think Ashland should stay the reason I moved here is because I want my kids to be outside and not in some structured program. So I wanna make sure that if you do something with this beach, that what's feasible is what the kids want, I guess is what I'm saying. It's all about the kids. I honestly don't care as much about, like what people are, some people that might just be using it here and there. It's like the kids that have the 8-week summer programs.
Okay, all right,
It's gotta be that. So I'm just not saying that. I'd like to hear more that the feasibility study is gonna include those people.
like I said. The first thing that has to happen is like, and the committee has met with people from DES. And another engineer, is there are things that people have said that they would like changes, structural changes to the waterfront, physical, whatever. So the first thing with the engineer is to find out what DES will let us do to the physical waterfront. Because there's some potential changes which anything else we want to do would be affected by whether we can or cannot do these things. So we have to work with engineers so we can get approved whatever we decide we want to do for that waterfront. Then going forward, there will be another really strong outreach of getting input from the town of what they would like the beach to be at, because I have 2 pages of possible cool things we could do at the beach. They're not, number one, they're not all gonna fit there. 2, they're coming out of my head, which your head's gonna have other things. So we're gonna have public input, what's important. So we get this whole list of, well, it'd be nice to have, okay, we got the volleyball, but we wanna have horseshoes. No, there's not room for horses. Well, we need benches for people to just sit and look at the water. A place for somebody to cast a fishing line. We don't know. So we're gonna talk to all these people and then get the list and then start trying to see if we can fit this stuff and have a bathhouse in a place that makes sense where the lifeguards can watch everything. So, but before we can do that, we have to find out what the state will let us do to the beach. Once we get that, then we can start figuring out all these things, and there will be outreach, and different people have different things. As I've said, well, maybe we could have sailing lessons for kids, and some people say, well, they could just go to SLA, and I'm thinking, yeah, well, I remember trying to do with my son in middle school when I was working, so they're not gonna get to SLA, but they could get to the beach for sailing lessons during the week, just so trying to hear people's needs or desires. But first we have to get past the engineering thing of what the state will let us do. Once we get that, then we have the physical parameters. Then we can start, getting, okay, we want to do this, can we? And we've got some really, good people who can help. Well, we can, and we want it to look nice. We want it to function, we want it to look nice. So this is but the first thing we gotta do is figure out what we can do and get approvals and permits from DES to do that.
That is what this study is for.
Right, yes, that's the primary, this amount, but because some of the design stuff, we were hoping that it will be part of some of the in-kind work, so not necessarily, that will come after that, isn't necessarily that we're not.
I understand, it's just when the pamphlets put it out that say it's for feasibility and development.
Okay,
That's not entirely true.
Can I
and that's what
comment?
People are having an issue
Well,
with that kind of stuff.
give me a second, Ellen.
Okay.
Give me a second, Ellen, and I'll let you talk. And what Ellen's gonna talk about is, we do have, because there are some things on behalf to, because what this grant is a Northern Borders grant for economic development. So that's why we keep talking about economic development. You have to comply with
What
the
does the
grant,
warrant say you are asking the people to say yes or no about?
apply for grants.
No, except
Oh, the
this.
warrant, wait a minute, what? Oh, the warrant, you wanna know what the warrant says? Yeah, I have that on here.
I'm pretty sure it says for a feasibility study, right?
The warrant says, I can read what it says, I have it right here. To see if the town of Ashland will vote to raise and appropriate $100,000 for the purpose of developing a comprehensive plan to redevelop the town of Ashland waterfront beach area. That's what it says.
Yeah, I'll make comment that the significance here, and Brianna, you might be able to support this, is that when we get this plan, we're getting help to develop this comprehensive plan. And the reason it's a comprehensive plan is because we're going to need more help in the future with another grant. So in order to get that next grant, this has to solve the engineering problem. That's the priority. Nothing happens if that doesn't get done. However, that's not enough because we need to know how we're going to utilize this beach, what amenities, what features, how it's going to drive economic development. So then we can go back to the Northern Borders people and say, we've developed a comprehensive plan. Here's the budget we've set. Here's the things that we want to encompass. And so here is a comprehensive plan. Now help us fund it going forward. And this is why Jenny's pointing out that once the engineering study is done, we say, okay, we've got a solution to deal with erosion problems or whatever else becomes significant. Now the town needs to be engaged because the Economic Development Committee will be hosting a series of meetings to solicit ideas from people, we'll cost those ideas, we'll see which are feasible, which are not. And at the end of the game, we should have the comprehensive plan that the warrant article calls for. We should know what that comprehensive plan is going to cost, and we should be able to find the money to support it.
And we'll be applying for grants again. Hopefully, we're hoping to be right here again this time next year with grant money for actually
A comprehensive plan.
implementing the plan.
And
Oh,
Charlie, but I just want to say, Charlie, what you said is pretty much what I wanted to add. That, yes, I understand though, Anne, why you're asking about the word feasibility. And okay, so when you're doing a full project that ends up with a final infrastructure project, change, okay, or development of any sort, you have to start at square one. And square one is where we're starting. You don't go in and just say, I just want to fix the wall. I just want to fix that. You have to start with looking at all the elements in the area that you have. And when you work with the Northern Borders grant process, what they call that when you're developing the plan, they happen to put it in they call it the feasibility phase, but it includes the engineering designs, the cost estimates, the consultations with the constituencies, all of that is they just have a catch-all area, So that's why, maybe you saw that word feasibility and you think it's, just can we or can't we have a wall? But it isn't just that. It's a much broader thing. And I know you and I have talked about the whole thing about kids needing shelter there and, several other items that are important to you. And all of those will be under consideration, of course. And everything that was raised in that Q&A, I thought people raised incredibly important information that will be given to those consultants, the safety of the beach, the access to it, the kids, all of that, assuring it accompany, the programming that's going on. Also, there are people in this town who are older and have disabilities and they'd like to use the beach. I don't see why we shouldn't be considering them. And the wall, not just that, but how they can access it physically. I mean, there's just, you can look at all of that. It's not like it's just one thing or another. But there was a lot of emphasis from the other questions before at the last briefing about kids. And I think the Q&A hits that a lot. And that has a lot to do with safety, what kind of activities and making sure they have, protection from elements, other recreational activities besides going in the water. So all of those kinds of things will be, I just want to mention that because I think that's where the confusion comes up, is people think of feasibility as just one little thing, but this is really more than that. It just happens to be the terminology that grant, they use in the grant process, but it means more than that. It is the development of the plan. And then once that you have to do, no matter what your project is, and then you can get the rest of the money in order to actually implement once you have a good plan. But an important part is the estimate to make sure that there's going to be a return to the town, that there's going to be benefits, and they're going to know who's going to benefit, how they're going to benefit, in the town, and economically how the town is going to, yes, that is a part of it. It's not something that's being ignored. The economic benefit to the town has to be considered. It must be. So, and as well as the environmental impact and making sure that people have access to the river all the time and making sure the silting is not happening and, all of that. So, yeah, all of that can be and should be addressed.
I'm gonna have to, so I'm just gonna try to ask my question in a really simple format.
Yep.
For me to support this, I would have to understand something simple, like you're gonna do a feasibility study for like 3 months, like April, May, and June. And then you're gonna have a huge series of events to get the 200 kids, their parents, the people that are my age and up that wanna bring the grandkids there to get their input. Because I am saying to you, my personal feeling, if it's this group, as opposed to a large group like we have 4th of July, you better have something at 4th of July that explains how you're getting the townspeople involved. They should be able to look at things, have a booth at 4th of July and give their input right there. If it's a meeting like this,
Yeah.
if it's this, then it would be very hard for me to get behind this because
That's a
it's
good
got to be connected to the schools and I think there's only like 400 or 500 people. I don't know, that might use this. It's gotta sort of double the amount of people in her programs and it's gotta be used by Ashland. I don't want it to be always just to draw business in. It's gotta have the focus of getting the Ashland kids and the residents of Ashland that have gone to that for years, that went to school here, and getting them to have a vision of what their beach is gonna be. So when you say bring the beach back, they're the ones that are like, yeah, you understand what we mean, what we want, right? Because that's the close community, people in Ashland.
So what you're just telling us, if we get a yay vote on the warrant article, which means we can move forward because the money will coming in, we gotta get our acting gear very quickly, so we could be, because we have to hire the engineer. We have to look at the beach, and as Michelle is saying, be ready with some preliminary, at least some preliminary stuff around 4th of July, because one of the things people have said is they wish we were doing a lot of this stuff during the summer when more of the summer, when more people are here. So that's something that we would need to see if we could really work to get the engineer going.
What are the number of people that aren't here that are actual voters in the town of Ashland?
A lot.
You know, statistically, how many?
Well, all I can
I
tell
mean,
you,
you're talking about the kids that go to school here and go to advanced programs, like, they live here year round.
they do,
Right, their parents are one of the equal. Right.
right.
So how many people are we talking about during the summer that were missing their input? When a lot of those people, who I know, and they do talk a lot about what goes on in town, but then they tell me, well, in Pennsylvania, I don't vote. Well, I live in Maryland, I don't vote here. Right.
But there are a lot of people who are here in the summer who aren't residents here.
Right.
Can I just want to say that I have this strong feeling, and I've only been to the beach a few times this past summer. But my biggest thing about this whole thing, first off, I want to say I asked the question about traffic, and it was only because my mother has a hard time getting to the beach already without anything happening. And that's 87-year-old. That question about the traffic and thinking maybe it's an opportunity to fix the road. That's the only reason I asked about it.
That has been out there.
So I'm just saying, that's why I asked the question on January 17th. But the biggest thing is like, that beach is going to fail, and it's gonna fail, I don't know, probably in less than 5 years. There's gonna be something that wall's gonna fall down. And the town is gonna be on the hook for spending the money then.
Yep.
And I think this place is notorious for pushing off to tomorrow what we could take care of today. And I think it's time to say, let's take the money and find out what we can do. And I mean, I don't know all the nuance of all the different words that people are picking apart, but the bottom line is eventually we're gonna have to spend the money on fixing the beach, regardless of whether we do it today with grant funding that supports us or we wait until it's too late and then we don't have a usable beach. Nobody can swim there. And there's no park and rec program for the summer or whatever. That's what I'm afraid of. And then it's gonna cost us 4 times the amount we're looking at today, because we're not gonna be able to get the grant. And I think people should just, that's how I feel about it, and I think people should kind of like wake up and think about it like that, instead of being afraid of what's potentially gonna happen because we find out what we can do. I mean, my gosh. We can still say no to everything they recommend,
Yeah,
That's right.
that's right.
right? And then what did we spend? Volunteer time working on stuff and pledges that people gave to research it.
Yes,
I'm like, I think I could get that money. I think I can go knock on some doors and get that money. I wish I had it in my pocket
Yeah.
that I could just give it,
our goal is to,
but
our goal is to get this done, and even on the second phase, which is going to cost more money, our goal is to be able to do this without hitting the tax rolls, because you know that's tough. And it has been done in other towns, and it has been done in this town on other projects, so I think we can.
and the last point is, the reason I bought the house I bought, where it's located is because of where it's located, that I can walk to the beach. That's why I bought the house I bought in Ashland. Right? So like, that's what brings people to town. I could
Yeah.
have stayed in Meredith. I was 3 minutes from the beach there, but I could walk to it here. you know?
And we are a walkable town, and all of those kids who live in town, they can ride their bikes to the beach.
Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
get there.
And don't even get me started on that, because my heart is at that beach. I grew up there with everything that offers, and I just think that's the most amazing thing for any kid to have in their childhood. And I mean, I could be a spokesperson for why every kid should go to the town beach all day, every day for the whole summer. Like,
Is that what you did?
between this building, and the town beach, that's what I did until I was 12.
Okay.
I'm serious. And I learned to swim, I learned to life save, I learned to row a boat, I learned to row a canoe, I learned to sail a boat. I learned to be a lifesaver, all at the town beach. And, you know, that's my, I think every kid should have that opportunity in this town. I mean, in a town that's depressed and doesn't have a lot, that breathes a lot of life into every kid. And it brings in people from outside communities. We had people that lived in the town for the summer from Massachusetts. It gives you this vibrant fabric of people to connect with as a kid. You know, I learned that, I met a kid who was deaf, I met a kid who was blind, I learned people who spoke with a New York accent.
Oh my gosh.
No, like,
We're covered.
that's right, but I'm saying, like, that's amazing when you live in this little rinky-dink town. I mean, because their family lived up on the hill. I mean, it's just, people don't think about, like, a lot of times, they're worried about I don't know.
But to just expand on the child experience, you know, I grew up on an island with 200 beaches, and one of the factors of that life is that every 3-year-old or 4-year-old was taking swimming lessons. And that becomes something you bring with you your entire life. And, you know, unfortunately, I've had some experience here with people who say, well, you know, I'm not much of a beach person. I ask, well, you know, can you swim or anything? And they say, well, no, not really. I have just never been, you know, comfortable in the water. And that's something that no child should go through life not being comfortable around water. There's just too much of it in the world.
So,
Anyway, here.
Yeah, just one comment. I think there were some really good comments made here, and I think what was just said kind of put a lot of it in perspective. And it sounds like there's a lot of people really concerned about steps 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're just trying to figure out, we were lucky enough to be able to get money to do the feasibility study to find out what are the things that we possibly need to do or have to do. And let's get that piece done, and then we open it up to the community to put steps 2 and 3 together. I think there are people that are concerned that those next steps will be a small group of people, and from everything I've heard, that's not where it's going.
Right.
Because it needs, and I don't think there's anyone that probably disagrees that the beach needs some work, and to figure out what kind of work we can do there, this is the purpose of that study. So it's really, at least the way I look at it, it's really that simple. This is just step one, and we're lucky enough that we got the money to be able to make it a lot more affordable.
But what we do need is we need to, get this warrant article through so we can get the money.
Yes, but
So if you, whatever, if you have ideas of what we can do to, because we have a few more weeks. I've got stuff that's out there. It's just, to correct information that's out there, what we're doing is helpful. And as Janice said at the meeting, and I spent an hour talking to somebody else this week, because there is concern that we are going to be promoting, putting many more boat slips for motorized boats over there, and that's not anywhere in any of this project. So
I don't think it's even feasible.
right, and I don't think the state would give us the permits, but I mean, the most that we've talked about wanting to have a place for launching non-motorized watercraft, which includes kayaks, canoes, paddleboards, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but not, we're not looking to add motorized, the motorized boats will come, but we're not, we're not adding anything to that would expand what's there.
I think there's a lot of confusion because the initial transparency of this proposal wasn't very transparent. People talk, I have it here. Your husband, John's plan for Barry that he did, the McCann Martin. He didn't, Jenna, that's the point. Everybody saw this before.
I know.
But the point is, when you start talking about beach improvements,
That's what they're thinking.
everybody's thinking this, they're like, no, Barry's gonna build a gazebo, and he's gonna have an amphitheater, and he's gonna have a boardwalk going on. It's no joke, it was on his plan, and so many people saw it. And rather than coming right out, right at the beginning, because when I saw you in Hannaford yesterday, I said, John, the plan you did for Barry, and he said, he didn't do it for Barry. And I said, it says Significant Partners right on his plan. So you didn't even know that. So the point is, it should have come right out at the beginning. There was a plan out there that Barry had in his vision board behind his desk, and that's for years, and that's great. He had a great vision that he wanted to help the town and help himself and help the people buying his condos. That didn't happen. So instead of saying, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, just say, no, fair enough, put it away.
We have been saying that.
Yeah, but I don't think the beginning, it wasn't being said, and I think people kept saying,
Oh,
what about that?
What beginning?
When you first started talking about improving the beach, and everybody, chatter was, we've seen the plan, we've seen, and everybody said, we've seen the plan, there was, but there is no plan.
We don't have
But you can keep saying that, but when people
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
talking over a plan,
people have seen something, and that's a
Yeah.
communication.
I wanna just honestly compliment you for coming right out straight, because it's a lot of word and
It is.
salad, and, I mean, I wanna be really clear, we have one of the largest, most well-attended small town fireworks, celebrations. We have people that plow in ice skating rink around the whole little lake and go to Walters and back. The people in town don't even know about that. We have cycle carts coming on Saturday, you can come out, you can watch people race. People should know about this. If you have to have a paddleboard race around this town, this lake in May, and then have a kayak race in June, and then do something at 4th of July, everybody that goes to the Ashland schools should know that the Economic Development Committee is running all these things. I mean, it would be, of course, but I'm just saying, get people involved, so it's not about plan, it's about, oh my gosh, I've been to the beach tomorrow, that was pretty cool, yeah. All
I
those
think
things
we have
you
the
did.
chair of the committee right there.
No, I am definitely, that is
Yeah.
my thing, I keep this room up. Some young person who's 35 or 40. Right, like I kid. We were at, in it. Michelle, we were at the Snowmobile Club meeting the other last Saturday.
Oh, yeah, that was.
After the poker run, and this gentleman, I'm not gonna name his name, but kept up, he came up and goes, oh, you know, he knew what we were up to camera. Oh, did you see what they're doing at the beach? I just found out about this. I go, what?
Right.
He goes, oh, and he starts talking about it, and he's very well known in the town, but he's all upset about it.
And he doesn't, I talked to him and he doesn't wanna talk about it.
No, so I went up, I said, oh, I know, Jenny, come here, I've got a perfect person to ask all these questions to. I hooked him up, walked away, a little while later, I went up to Jenny and I
He
said,
won't talk about it.
I said, and what did he say?
Yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
yeah, but here's this person that's doing all this stuff, like, I saw what they're doing to our beach, blah, blah.
And the same
That's
thing,
gonna happen with any project.
right,
Yeah,
yeah, the same thing happened
Tell
with
people
mine.
this rumor
Yeah.
till the cows come home.
Right.
And they're gonna, if they'll stop this rumor, they'll start it now.
Yeah.
Think about that.
but I think
So
it's
can I-
important to have some.
So let's just expand a little bit on what Paul is saying. That was out there,
Mhm.
it has been out there for a while. But also just before the grant was put in for, a map was brought to me, like within 2 weeks, that had the same stuff on it. And it was brought to me and asked what would I like to add to it. And also, I was asked, can I get one of my friends who has a business and stuff to write a letter of recommendation for it? I'm like, he does not live in town. And the answer I got was, so if this is truly Ashland, we can't do stuff like that. And all the papers that are being put out about these meetings and stuff, when they have the kayaks and I don't have one in front of me, but whatever the things are listed on there, that's not showing the people that you're doing a feasibility. That's showing them, this is what it is. Maybe it's not that paper that you gave them, but they're not going to believe there's not something in mind if you keep putting it in writing. And that is what is happening.
Well, I understand the thing about the saying the docs on it's because it's out there, even if it's old or whatever, it's out there and it's hard, once it gets out there, you can't take that back. We do have been putting together lists of potential things that maybe we could do on the beach, trying to get people, but that's something that when, once we get past this phase of what we can do, we will be meeting with the public and we're gonna be throwing out ideas we have, but then asking for ideas they have. So we're gonna make this huge lists.
But to get this through, you would have better luck saying, this is a feasibility study, we wanna see what we can do. Can we move the wall? Can we get rid of the Perch Beach? That kind of stuff.
Those are the three things that get rid of the
That
wall,
everybody wants
get
to
the
do.
beach back and
But
get the
then you
beach to
start
silt down the
adding
river.
in
Those are
what
the
Barry
things.
has put, then you
Right.
start adding what people brought to me and said, do you want this? And most of the same things were on that. It wasn't a stripped down version. And also, then you put the same stuff on the flyers that are going out. The flyers should be, let's make the beach safer, let's get the wall down, let's make it easier for kids, let's make it accessible for kids, stuff like that. If that's truly what this first step is, that should be what's out there. Don't cloud it.
You don't believe that's what the first step is?
No,
You don't?
no, yes, sorry, I believe that's the first step, but I also believe there's,
You can see why others don't, but you.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is the first step. We need to see what we can do. If we can't get the wall down,
And we're done.
there's not a thing we can do. They're gonna say, no, you can't take the wall down. There's no more room for anything.
Or if we have to expand the jetty, is there a possibility with the.
They'll tell us what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
but
they're the
what
ones that are
is-
gonna have to tell us that.
Right.
But that is not what we're saying to people right now, that this is what we're gonna do. You should have just stayed with A instead of adding B and C, and this is what we're gonna do
So
later.
how do we undo that?
You
You
can't.
can't now, we got a model. I mean,
Where's the rest of the stuff you're talking about? I don't.
Where's the rest of the town?
No, I visited here, all stuff like I don't
And
know.
all our freaking is fire here.
you
Yeah,
like
but
the
those-
flyers about these meetings, that's what I mean. Because they say,
So that was created based upon the information specifically from everything to do with the grant that we've written. It wasn't anything fabricated. That's from a future, I actually made that. And I made it based upon the information that I got from the grant, not from, I don't know anything about this other stuff, honestly, except for what I had shared with me, you know, via a picture. I don't know about that stuff. So, I mean, I put that together, steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, based upon the information that
oh,
was in,
no, I'm not saying that.
or whatever, I don't know what other flyer.
No, there was a
Like,
flyer,
I would like
yeah,
to be-
Janet did it, and it was just, hey,
Yeah.
come to the meeting, we're gonna talk about these different, it was just sort of an arbitrary, like, do you want, what do we want in Ashland? Do we want paddlers, do we want boat dogs, do we want, there was
Right,
like that list of those items, but that's, Ann's point is that once you said
That's the
that,
next step.
that's right.
People need to understand, because everybody in this town, if you ask, they want the wall gone. Everybody wants that wall gone.
Right.
So if we just said, or you, whoever,
Oh,
whatever.
I know, I don't know, I did it, but I'm just saying, I created a
This
flyer, and I
is
just like,
the-
get the beach back.
Right, this is the study, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna see if we can get that beach, that, first beach and the wall taken away, so we can have a beach like we used to have, where the kids can walk into the water and do stuff like that. If we had said that, you probably would have had your money now, or they would have said yes on the warrant. Listening to people now, I don't think it's going through. Because
I just clear the air that has a sense of authority, and it's certainly not me, but I think maybe you should. Somebody, it's not in the town's best interest for all these things and shadows, I don't know, I'm
no,
just.
I know, I
And
100%.
be against it for what, it's gonna cost the average person maybe $20. If
Yeah, but
we
we're
didn't
hoping
get
it doesn't cost
anything.
anything.
Right, and in the future, it's gonna cost you.
Just to pitch in and.
Right, but I mean, I don't know, I just feel like
I mean,
the average home here, it's gonna cost them $20.
in my
To do the
opinion,
study, if we get zero money. pledged
It's
zero-
11 cents. Yeah, I
Right,
mean,
I just,
if you get zero, but for the study. But you know what
Yeah.
I'm wondering? This is what I'm wondering. I think I'm trying to understand, and I don't think I do. I do understand that there were previous documents that went around, but what has that got to do with this is what I'm trying to say. I thought we were past that. Everybody knows, it's been said 1,000 times that the plan that Jana or whomever was passing around, or however it got passed around again and again, and the one that Ann showed at a meeting, like in the briefing, it doesn't exist. It is not part of the plan. It is not in the proposal. And everything you're talking about with that, and I understand, Lori, I think that's what you mean. Like, why are people circulating that? They know that's not the plan, and yet you're still circulating it. So I think
They don't know
that's
that's
what
not
I
the
want to
plan.
ask is, why do people circulate it when they know it's not the case? That's what I
and
don't
they
understand.
don't know that's not the plan.
And you were handing it out.
But it's not the plan, Ann, and you know it.
What?
And so I'm asking you, why
Yes,
are
I was
people
handing it out
circulating it?
because you and your husband were the ones that came to me 2 weeks earlier before you did that grant and said, here, what would you like to add to it?
I didn't. I came to you and I
I'm not
explained to
talking
you, this will give you an opportunity to think and dream of what you think would be good there. And everybody has that opportunity.
I
Yeah.
have never talked to you.
So
one-on-one.
I did not
It
do
was
that. And I'm sorry.
Anything
know.
but me, she's talking on here, we have one person that actually knows how to run the beach.
Okay, hold on a second, we got, hold on a second,
You need a timeline, right? March, feasibility study. Including the safety, like Anne Marie said, take the wall down, expand the beach, watch the beach, expand it. Then in June, you need ideas from residents, right? You're gonna get the ideas from the Ashland Elementary School, from the Plymouth High School, from the grandparents, from whoever went to that beach back in the day. You're gonna
From the
do something
residents.
at 4th of July. You're gonna do something, she runs a road race around, or that I ran in last year. You're gonna probably do other things like a paddleboard and kayaking around the lake. You're gonna get everybody this summer out there thinking about their feedback And then you're gonna have some other events where you're like, hey, we're collecting everybody's feedback. And then be like, yeah, I did the road race, and then I did the paddleboard thing, and I kayaked down there with your neighbor and her kids too. It's gotta be like that. It can't be these meetings. So this would totally work. And then October, you'll have all the ideas from the residents. You all or the subcommittee that's on this is gonna be able to present options. It's gonna be probably the
Well,
best.
remember, they don't approve this.
Okay, so you get it?
That's the bottom line.
In order for
You
them.
find a way to get this
In order
misconstrued
for
out
them
to
to
the
vote
voters.
for it, but you have to show them what the next year's gonna be like. And you're gonna put in here in December, you're gonna have a proposal. You'll show them right to warrant article and they'll know what it is. So then you can make all this go away.
But we're not quite there yet.
But when you
You're
keep
pretty
putting
close.
on your flyers
Yeah.
and plans, comprehensive plans, that's bringing it to step B or C, whichever one it is, instead of staying with this is for this part.
It's helpful to look ahead.
But what we do have to do is, we've got about 3 weeks to, and whether it's incorrect information or not, the fact that a lot of town residents do feel, those who have been sort of paying attention, that the docks could potentially be part of this. And whether that's come from here or wherever it's come from, it doesn't matter. People who think that, and that could unfortunately sink the project.
Yeah.
So somehow we've got, this goes back to what I said at a previous meeting, we have a messaging problem of how to get the message out to the vast majority of people who will vote. No, not everybody votes. The gentleman who was arguing, he says, I don't vote, but he was very vocal. And going along with that, when my husband went and bought his sheet for the poker run, he comes back and said, you should have done that because there were people bitching about the beach and you should have done it and you could have talked to them. You know, so but then there have been a number of people, I've spent a considerable amount of time talking to them on the phone, going through everything, and I go, oh, okay. But that's been, you know, so how do we get the message to the masses of what it is we're really trying to do?
Yeah, go.
Which I would like,
Okay, you got two sources, Facebook and Laconia Daily Sun.
Yeah,
okay,
Daily Sun from.
Yeah.
okay,
Everybody reads it. It's only out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday now.
Yeah.
But everybody reads it.
okay.
agreed.
A letter, an advertisement, whatever.
Well, even something coming from the Park and Rec Department, from the Board of Selectmen, from somebody, the input from all of them that are actually concerned about this development project and to explain
How it's being.
how it's being done. And what it's going to do. You are brilliant, what you were saying about what is it gonna cost us if environmental impact that we're creating from our town beach causes a problem, and we don't have this grant, we don't have this feasibility, study, we don't know, and then we have no means to correct those issues, or if some kid falls off the wall. Again, you need to understand that that beach is gonna cost us one way or another.
An hour later, right.
Yeah, so I think she was very articulate, what she was saying, so she can write a nice article.
Well,
Jenny, you can take the pictures.
I think it needs to come from somebody that people look at
Right,
as.
and that know that. care
It
about the
says,
town.
look, let's just clarify, you
Yeah.
clear the air, there's been a lot of misinformation.
Yeah,
This is the reality, and I don't know,
It'll be your best bet right there.
again, we've got about 3 weeks to get,
That's good. You don't wanna be too far ahead. No, seriously.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Everybody.
the point is that, we do need to take care of the beach.
We do.
There's been a lot of misinformation about what this is, and it's just this, whatever the words are, right?
Well, you gotta be.
And say, clear the air, like, there's, and acknowledge whatever.
And Ann is right, this part really, I mean, we're talking about going to step 5 or 6, where like, what do you want for amenities? But this part really is getting finding out what
People.
DES will allow us to do,
Right.
what we need to do if we can get the beach back, and getting that plan. And that's what this money really is for. And then the next part is developing all these designs, and a lot of that is in-kind work of figuring that all out. That will come after. And then we'd be looking for more money, but that will come, but that is for we.
So I'd like to propose that somebody that's not on the EDC, but is in a position of authority in town, or recognized as a voice of whatever, make a statement about the misunderstandings and say clarifying blah, blah.
Okay.
That this, you know, I don't know, for me, that would help me. Cause I've learned some things that I didn't totally know, like.
Right.
Right, and I think everybody's trying to do the best thing for, you know, whatever, so, I don't know, but.
Okay.
Well, thank you for volunteering, Lori.
Well, I don't think that I'm that voice, I don't think, I would do it, I'll write it for whoever.
You're doing fine here.
Well, no, I'll write it for whoever, but nobody's gonna listen to me, like, people don't, I'm just new to Ashland for less than a year, you know?
Yeah, but
so,
you're from it.
well,
Yeah,
I don't know if
I read the articles about Gilbert, about that, we'll read that. You know?
All right, well, I could try for I think somebody else needs to do it for Facebook. I'll do the Laconia Daily Sun.
How
Yes.
about, Lori, I mean, what you're talking about, let me ask you, I mean, I don't know the answer to what you're saying. I know there are 140 kids who, attend the elementary school, and I've talked to I love the, the principal. He's a wonderful guy. Do people in town know him? I mean, is he known or?
He's leaving, we have a new principal coming, so maybe you shouldn't.
I'm sorry?
He's leaving at the end of the school year, so. he's
Oh.
not-
Oh, he's leaving us.
But I think that this makes total sense what you were saying. First, you gotta get somebody that everybody knows and trusts.
Right.
It's not somebody on this committee most likely to squat.
Good point, Michelle.
I guess I'm gonna tell my resignation tonight.
Where's that first aid?
But I'm talking about all done, they'll all be in Josephine. And then you got other people that read Facebook and monitor Facebook. I mean, I don't ever go on Facebook, so there's somebody there. Lori said she'll work on the Daily Sun, and then somebody is gonna put something on the Ashland website, right? I mean, they don't really read that as much, but there's not that many people. It's gotta go everywhere, right? I mean, I know who writes the little thing in front of the Ashland website. Right, the monthly thing.
You got the
It should go there, the monthly thing,
The
to get ready to vote. So it can go there, it can go on the Facebook.
Put that in the
it can go
newsletter,
on the Sun.
Ron? Can that be put in the newsletter, Ron?
Yes,
Something in the newsletter? Yes. Okay, that would be great. What about the town newsletter? Is that a good avenue?
Just,
Well,
you
it's-
Well,
start.
I mean, that's just one, there's gotta be many avenues.
I think you need a lot of avenues and a lot of different groups that you reach out to. But I'm
Is there a
gonna
reason
get
why-
off now. Bye-bye.
Why the
Good
town
seeing you.
can't promote it?
Why what?
The town can't promote
Marissa,
this
do we have-
warrant?
Marissa,
I don't know,
I think the town can promote it as long as it's not done in a polling place, because it's something that has to be, I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is, as long as we're not in it, like, we couldn't, and the deliberative, we weren't supposed to say too much because residents have to vote,
But
but
could we send a little flyer home with the kids at elementary school about the warrant article? Could we, are there things like that that
that
you can
gets a
do?
little, that gets a little hard,
I was gonna say.
that gets a little hard.
But in the parent newsletter, the PTO thing or whatever.
That could get hard, because that's.
We absolutely, having raised kids in school, we absolutely can put something in a backpack that says, hello, parent. We're considering getting your input about what you'd like to see your kids being able to do this
at the Ashton Town Beach. We are.
No, we're not there yet.
No, I'm saying
That's of these kinds of things for the summer.
No.
And in order to get
No.
that, we need you to consider voting.
All right, so she said, yeah.
Not do that.
They don't have.
I need to get that. All right, there.
Order.
Okay.
Michelle, Michelle, anymore?
Okay, so then it's not that, but it's like.
Wait, we've got 6 or 7 people talking at one time.
Can't do that.
Also, it's 10 of 8, and it's
Okay.
time to,
Wrap up.
Wrap it up.
yeah. Even though this was a small group of people, and
We're
small,
Bye.
I mean, you almost didn't outnumber us. You count. And the last time we did this, we had a full house,
Yeah.
but there was confusion as to our date, it was changed, it was gross.
The 18th.
So we're gonna do it again. And,
We'll work on the outreach.
Getting concise.
and we
Details would be
we can,
fascinated.
I'm sorry, what?
Concise, of detail, this is what we are, this is what we're doing, this is why. And at the, yeah, stop listening to the clatter, you know,
Don't oversell.
right, just
Sure.
a concise, this is what it is. And if there's meet the candidates date to be set before voting, obviously,
Set.
that's a good time to have a handout stuff for
Set.
that. You can give the.
March
7? Okay, meet candidates, it's
March
March 7th.
And then you can, if you have something very simple, very concise, and, you know, let people know this is what this article is, that you can hand out at that. People are gonna be, those are gonna be interested parties that are there.
And not the Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
And I think you should write it.
Well, I probably can, I would chat GPT.
Yeah.
I agree, it's amazing. My 3-year-old granddaughter could write it on chat GPT.
Paula?
No,
That for us?
No, I never.
Oh,
Is that?
Okay, this meeting is dismissed.
I think it's, well, it's a nice.
7, 45, 50. What is it?
7:53.
7:53, and thank you, everybody.
I think I'm gonna.
Yeah, I gotta get to that.